What's going on, everyone? How's it going? We have a Tail Gator here. It is a 2-cycle generator. It takes 50 to 1 fuel. And I know literally nothing about it except for what you see here. I notice there's no handle, so that usually means carburetor issues, which would make sense, but we don't know. Let's check the fuel. Is that supposed to be there? Completely, totally empty. So, I'm not gonna lie, I've received a machine from this person before who the only problem it was, not who, was that it didn't have gas. So I could see someone pulling on this thing for a while and then pulling the pull cord out and then dumping it over on my doorstep. So hopefully that's the case. If not, we'll be doing some carburetor work. But I think the first thing we're going to do is we're going to take off this cover and let's see how it's put on there. So I remember taking off one of these covers before, not entirely, but I feel like it was more just of annoyance than anything else. Let's see. I think there's 2 more on the bottom. The main annoyance was just the tank, because in fact I'm just going to do the same thing to the other side. This way I think the tank will just lift up. Well, it would at least lift up more enough to get us clear right here. But those black screws we took out have nothing to do with the recoil, but we do have to get underneath the tank. And I think there's 2 more. Yeah, there is. Looks like we have some carnage on the bottom of it. Just noticed that. Not really sure what that is. I'll show you. What happened there? I'll bend those back, maybe put a little tack on them. But let's... Still has a line in it, which is kind of odd. Usually it breaks, either it breaks towards the handle, majority of the time it breaks towards where you attach it. But not this one. I think that was someone's makeshift idea of having, or trying to figure out how to put a new one on. I don't know. Not a good idea, to say the least. Let's see here. The line is about 2 feet. It's not enough, but we have that. The spring is not broken. I've had to hold that down the entire time. So we know the spring is okay. I'm going to get some line. And this is where it becomes a little difficult. This is pretty thick line. But it's also like cottony, or it's like a fiber, organic fiber, there we go. And those will break a lot easier. If you get something that's like paracord material, or, well, you should never use that, but like more of a synthetic cable or cord, it lasts a lot longer and it's thinner, which brings me to the next part. I told you this is about 2 feet long. I'm going to extend it out. I'm about 6'4", and my arm range is a little longer than most. So when I pull on it, when some people won't, will have a little bit more of a hard time. And I would rather not to have a hard time. So I'm going to cut one that's roughly 3 feet long. And that should be more than enough, at least for me and for anyone else who's going to be pulling on it. Unless you're like Shaq or something, then yeah, you might have a problem. And this is the line I use. It's an Oregon brand, number 4 starter pull cord rope. It's a pretty good thickness. It's not to be used like on, I would say anything over 6 horsepower. Anything over that, you really need to get a thicker line. In which case, I think that's a, I don't remember, 5, 2. I don't remember if it goes up or down. But anyway, since we have a brand new pack, we don't need to do anything with this end. But let's see here. Excuse me, you're not going to see this, of course, but this is, I would say, more than appropriate. Cut that off like so. Now if you do buy this line, it comes with this little pin. I usually keep that pin because it will kind of keep it from doing the unraveling, and you have to put it back together. It's just a giant pain. But now that we have this, and take a torch, you could take a lighter, do that. Except you also want to do this while it's still hot. It won't really burn you as long as you don't hold on to it too long. You may get a little plastic on your finger, but if you're working on machinery, you have to expect to have a little bit of uncomfortableness. Now, I think I have to take that center piece off, which is kind of annoying. I don't know if it's reverse thread though. No, it's not. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. You want to be careful. There's a spring in there, and putting it back in, if it flies out, isn't the world's worst chore, but it's definitely something I don't want to do today. Okay. So, see if we could take this out without disrupting the spring. Okay, I think we did. And we did. Okay. That's a real risky procedure. If you feel like it's being held down at all, don't do it. Putting it back on is going to be probably annoying. Not a very good design that you have to take the top off in order to put the new line on. I wasn't the one that designed it, so. But since we are using a little bit of a smaller diameter of a line, we can, in fact, on paper, have an easier time. Oh, come on. In theory, that should have been easier. Okay. And the grease they put on here is just something else. It smells funny. Now that we have that, we can take the line. This is the knot I use. I have no idea what it's called. But you take it, you go under, and you go around, so you'll have something like that, and then you go through. Makes a little bit of a bigger knot. You're not double knotting it, and it's never really failed me. I'm sure there's a name for it, and it's probably super common amongst people who do knots. I'm not a knot person. That is one area of, I don't know, a skill, whatever you want to call it, that my brain just cannot comprehend, is knots. I don't know why. Now, we have the fun task of, let's see here. It's going to go like this. So that means, so if it's going to spin that way, my mind just went blank. I have it wrapped around. Went counterclockwise. But, oh, that wants to come off. We'll just take it off so we don't drop it in the meantime. So the other end has this opening right here. That opening has to go in that end of the spring. That can sometimes be a real pain. So let's see if I can get it. I don't think so. Oh, maybe. Huh. May have gotten it. Something that could have happened is it could just be on the wrong section of the spring. As soon as you let go or pull on it, it will kind of snap back. But it doesn't seem like it. So I think we're pretty good. We're still going to test it, but I think we are ready to put this back on. That was right there. That just goes out. This little clip goes in that little section right there. That kind of moves it. Let's take the screw out if we can. Or maybe we don't. No, we have to. Come on. There we go. Take the screw out. And we'll see if... Whoop, there it goes. Perfect. So now, let us go ahead and put that back on. It's not reverse thread or anything, as we discovered. Doesn't have to be on there tight. Just tight enough. Now, I need to go find a handle and I'll be right back. There we go. Stolen from a mantis. That is no longer going to be functional, so no point of having a good line on it. Now, this is the part that can be annoying. I need maybe like a small screwdriver or a pick. A pick attached to a small screwdriver. But it has to be a straight pick or something. My hands are just too thick to go through there. Well, it's not a small screwdriver, but it's a screwdriver. At this point in time, I really wish the end of this had a magnet on it. And why is this little cover on it just making it difficult? It's all you're doing, cover. Okay, I'm gonna mess with that a little bit and I'll be right back. Oh, there we go. It appears to be a little bit too long, so that's fine. We'll just pull on it a little bit. It's better to have it be too long and not long enough. So I'm sure no one here has had that problem before. Yeah, I'll push that into the little cavity, but it's working. I'm gonna finish it up a little bit and kind of clean it up, get it cut off, stuff like that. Okay, and here we go. It is all cleaned up. Actually looks pretty good, and we're just gonna put it back on. Should be really fun. There we go. Sometimes you do have to pull the cord a little bit. I also bent back. Okay, you know how screws work. I'm just gonna put the screws in. It's really hard. I need to be where you are. Something I did just notice is the fuel is actually turned off too. So I don't know if this is put away correctly, and I don't know. But the choke also looks like it's bent. Yeah, it's bent. Let's bend it back. There we go. So the fuel is off. So there's no fuel in it, and the fuel is off. So we very well could be dealing with just a broken pull cord, fingers crossed. If not, we'll have to take care of the carb. But this one isn't too bad. It might require us to take the tank off just to make it easier to see, but these are actually kind of cool. I know it seems like I put a lot in there, but there wasn't a whole lot in this can to begin with. And I might use this for a little bit anyway. I have a small project that I need to use a generator for, and it involves a drill. I don't really feel like taking a big 5,000 watt generator out there when I could literally just take this little bad boy out there. Let's turn the fuel on. This can easily power a drill. I don't know how many watts it is, like 800,000, something like that. I'll have to look it up. Tail Gator 63cc engine, weighs 30 pounds. Doesn't really say the wattage. It just says do not exceed 6.5 amps. Oh, never mind. 700 running watts, which would make sense for 6.5 amps if you do the math on it. The carb is over here. I'm going to just make sure there's no fuel dripping on it. It's not. Yeah, I think I'm going to put you over there so you're not shaking around, and we'll give this bad boy a pull. You're going to have to forgive my OSHA approved footwear. It's like 95 degrees. It's the first 95 degree day of the year in the Northwest. It's a pretty miserable time, but okay. It's on. Choke. Let's see what happens. Nothing happens, that's what happens. Well, that's no fun. I was hoping we didn't have to do the carb work today. Let's take the plug out. Starting fluid down there. I know what you're thinking, and yes, you do need that size of extension. It's not bad. It's a torch, though. Not a fan of torch plugs. Maybe we'll get lucky and... So for this, we turn off the choke. I did read that correct, right? Yes, I did. Okay. On. Choke off. Well, there you have it. We have a little bit of carburetor work to do. Here we go. Take this cover off. This should be where the air filter is. Now, when you do this method, it gives you access to the bottom of the bowl. But more importantly, you may not have to remove the carburetor because, if I remember correctly, oh, here's my tiny screwdriver. It's kind of difficult to. That looks nice. Anyway, it's kind of difficult to remove the throttle linkage. At least on some of the other ones it is. That's it. I know some of the cables are going to get us, but you know what? We're just going to tip it like so. We're going to put this back like so. And we're just going to work on the carb directly. You can't really see it though. There we go. Now we don't have to worry about taking anything off. See if this works though. Unless it's super bad in there, then we don't really usually have to worry about cleaning the whole carb, just the jet. It's the one where the jet is on the side though. That could be annoying. Well, let's put a towel down. Yeah, there's some gunky in there, but it wasn't horrible. I'm not going to worry too much about the emulsion tube, even though we could take it out. We might worry about the emulsion tube. Let me see if I can't shove a screwdriver on the side over there, like a real long screwdriver, and get that jet out. See if you can really get an up close and personal view there. Oh, that's dirty. Okay. There we go. Now this is not the way you should be doing this. You should take this off, clean it out, be thorough about it. If you don't really feel like dealing with it, or if you're doing this in the field with limited tools, we'll see if this works. Pretty sure it will though. Excuse the hand. Yeah, that jet had a little gunky in there. Okay. Emulsion tube. Don't know if I'm going to be able to get it out there. No, I'm not going to worry about it. Now the real hard part is going to be putting this bad boy back in. Okay, I need to be where you are. I'll be right back. And once you get it started, it's not that bad, but it's getting it started that was really rough for whatever reason. Now we're coming into problems. There we go. Nice and tight. Okay. Make sure there's no junk. Make sure that pin doesn't fall out like it was trying to. I'm going to clean the bowl out real quick. I put the bowl seal on there. It fell when I was putting everything back together, or clean the bowl out, I should say. I'm going to go ahead and get the nut ready. It also has a little rubber O-ring on it, which actually is kind of dirty. Let's clean the little rubber O-ring too. That just seems like it could be a leak, you know? Don't want to do that. Now we put the bowl back on very carefully so we don't disturb the bowl gasket. Usually this would be the part where I tell you don't use an impact and only use a ratchet or a socket or something. But I'm going to actually grab one because this is not the most expensive machines in the world. And I don't want to strip it out. There we go. So now let's flip it back over. I'm gonna put the cover on it with the air filter back on again. Technically we didn't have to take that off, and we'll see if this worked. Here we go. So one thing I did forget to mention is when we were working on it, I took the plug out. The plug of the porcelain sticks out, and I didn't want it to fall and snap the porcelain of the amazing quality plug that's in there. So be aware of that. So the fuel is on, choke is on. Perfect. So we are good to go. Now, I know you're thinking the smoke, it's pretty rough. I've worked on 15 or 20 of these machines, the red one, the blue one, all the colors, and they all smoke. They'll clear out about 2, 3, 4 minutes into it, unless you have way too much oil in your fuel, in which case you could have too much, or, and probably in this situation, is there's just a lot of oil in the cylinder, just from previous use, like the 2-cycle oil, and it could be in the muffler as well. But something in addition to that, when these are cold, like it is, they just don't burn 100% right until they get warm. Then they'll really start to clean up, and that's why it takes a few minutes. And we ran it with choke, so, well, actually, we ran it with choke on, but I don't know if it was always running with the choke lever bent, or if it was bent before it came to me, or in transit to me. But if they were running it on like a quarter choke, that could explain why there's a lot of excess oil. So I would have run outside for a little bit to clear out, and once it clears out, it should be okay. But hopefully we learned something today. We can take or do this the easy way. Didn't have to take the carb off, didn't have to have any special tools. All we needed was an 8mm, 10mm, a little patience, a screwdriver. We didn't even need a screwdriver. We didn't have to take the cover off. We did need a flathead though. We do need a longer flathead screwdriver. But that's it. Pretty easy, self-explanatory. We also use a towel. But We didn't have to use a cleaner. We didn't have to do any special tools, any chemicals, nothing. This is not for every one of them though. If you have a lot of heavy corrosion or junk built up in there, then yeah, you're going to want to go through the whole process of cleaning it. But when you open it up, it looked pretty good. I just think it sat for a little bit. The owner tried to pull it or turn it on, pull the ripcord right out, and then it sat a little longer with a little bit of fuel in there, and then now it's here. Having said that, we are good to go. I'm not going to test the output of it quite yet, at least not on camera. I do a video on doing so. So I'm going to check the output, make sure it's at 60 hertz and, you know, all that nice jazz. And we'll leave it at that. If you do want to know how to check the output, like I said, I have a video on that. So check that video out. I'll see you next time. Definitely put a thumbs up if it helped you out. If it did help you out, let me know in the comments. If you have any questions about this, leave a comment below. And don't forget to subscribe. I do post quite often. At least I will be trying to in the future. It's been a little hectic in the springtime, as I'm sure you can imagine. But I'll leave you at that. If you also want to have any personalized help, I do offer memberships, and that is one of the perks. Enough of all that nonsense. Let's go ahead and see you later. Have a nice day. Later.